Okay, I'll call the meeting of the trustees to order. We'll start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay. Will the secretary please call the roll?
President Schultz,
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz,
Here.
Trustee Warner,
Here.
Trustee Pell,
Present.
Trustee Welker.
Here.
We have a quorum present this afternoon,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Okay, please be advised that the trustees' regular board meeting originally scheduled for August 17th, 2020 at 1 p.m. will now be held at 5 o'clock p.m. at Southampton Town Hall, second floor boardroom, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, New York.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion to accept the
Okay.
minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of May 4th, 2020, May 18th, 2020, and June 1st, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Okay. Anybody from the public wish to speak other than on applications that are before us? Okay, nobody here. Okay, call to order the public hearing regarding the application of Devasi LLC, 315 Royal Avenue, Flanders, New York. It was adjourned several times, and we're reopening it. So anybody here to speak in favor of it?
I'll second the motion to open it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi, my name is Richard Ketchian, and
Is the sign-in sheet up there?
I guess they forgot to put this on. I can just get.
Okay, you can do it
I
after.
can
You
give
can do
them
it
a piece of
afterwards.
paper.
I thought Aaron was going to be here, but I could speak in my behalf. You know, I've gotten a little more involved with this lately because of all the delays and postponements, and the bulkhead's really falling apart. And we had another high tide yesterday, and it was northeast, even though it wasn't a storm. Lost more bulkhead, and my neighbors are all behind this. I don't know who wrote, who didn't, who wrote in favor, who voted.
I'm gonna read them into the record.
Okay. And, well, my point is that I want to work with everybody. I did take a picture last night, and just to give everybody, I mean, I think Eric has been down there, Scott might have been down. But this is, the water yesterday was already, last night was already past my driveway, and that was at 10:30, 11:30 was 11:15. And then I took a picture this afternoon at low tide, and you could see that because of the, you see, when I originally did this, this was all covered and had grass planted. I planted grass. And I haven't had time to take all of these pictures. I have pictures from years and years and years. But it actually did look really nice. But what you could see is that none of the sand has really moved. Now, yesterday, if there was nothing here, that was just going to go right around this corner and just take everything out. And it's like a wash. It's like it's actually like vacuuming it. And everything stayed stable. And now, I think horseshoe crab is January, February?
Horseshoe crab, the spawning season is June and July.
Oh, June and July, okay. Because what I'm getting nervous about is I need to get, you know, if I'm approved, I need to get these people in and get this work done also. And before we even lose more, so I don't know if you want to look at these or.
Yeah,
but that's
can we just take them in and get them stamped? And
Give me the record?
Yeah, that's good.
You can put them into the legislative file, sure.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an idea. And, you know, that's pretty much, I hope, you know, I hope we can come to a resolution in my favor here.
Well, let's just, I'll read some of these letters in,
Okay.
okay? One is from your consultant, Adam Tertunian. He claims, "I represent the applicant for the above application, and I request that the hearing be closed." Okay. Second letter is from Barbara Nelson, 315, in regards to the 315 Royal Avenue permits. I was unable to attend the meeting, which included permits for 315 Royal Avenue in Flanders, but I understand that the Board of Trustees will consider public comments received before August 17th. I own the property at 304, which is diagonally across. I hope that you will grant Mr. Ketchian permits to continue the improvements to his property, and improvements pose no impediment to navigation. Living so close, I have a full view of his property and find that this project is enhancing the area. The rocks help keep people off his property, which is a benefit to me because it keeps the small beach area from being overrun with people on summer weekends. I have no objections to the project, rather I support it wholeheartedly. I know of no one in the area who has any objection to it. Thank you for bringing my opinion to the attention of the trustees so they may consider in reaching their decision, and please thank the trustees for their careful consideration on this matter. Signed, Barbara Nelson and Paul Nelson.
Thank you.
One is Maureen Amy. This is living on the Sylvan Avenue Canal. We have no objection to the project proposed by the plans that have been submitted by Devasi LLC. We believe that protecting the owner's property with sand-covered stone revetment with plantings, quote, living shoreline will beautify the shoreline and ensure that Sylvan and Royal Canals can remain as active waterways into the future. That's signed by Kurt Brasner, Maureen Amy of 180 Sylvan Avenue in Flanders. Let's see, next, so that's one for that, and, yeah, that's all we have right now. Now, I know there's other letters in there with the support of the Waters Edge Civic Association and Mr. Ferrantino.
Long Neck Royal.
And the
Canal Association.
Long Neck Royal Canal Association, and
is 46
signed by the president of the Waters Edge Civic Association, who, right?
Well, we have one from Water's Edge with the president signed that, and Ferrantino is the president of
Right.
Long Neck,
Okay, the Canal
the
Association,
Canal Association.
which is adjoining it, right?
Yeah, so he's the president of that one, so it's two separate letters.
Okay, so to bring everybody up to speed, this is the only property in the area that is not protected with a hardened structure.
I
It's
did
been-
forgot to mention one thing, excuse me. Fisher, Frank Fisher purchased the property that burned, and,
Across the
he's
street
going-
from you.
Excuse me?
Diagonally across.
Yeah, diagonally from me towards the water. And, I've spoken with him, I've gotten friendly with him over the past, I guess it's a year and a half now. And kind of what we want to do is we want to promote the seagrass that's in the water to grow. All right? And there's not, if I could keep putting sand over it, then hopefully it will grow. It'll start coming down in front of his bulkhead. I mean, I know all these things take time, but the one on Temple, Sylvan and Temple went crazy in the last, all we need is one winter that's not a lot of nor'easters, and it like doubled in size.
Well, that helped because we rearranged the rocks down there, too.
Oh, that's
Stop-
why I don't
stop.
see them. Okay, that's why I don't see them the way,
Right.
yeah, okay.
We went down there and cleaned up the beach because that beach used to go out about another 200 feet since
Oh,
the
yeah.
40s. It's receded back, but there used to be a road that went out there with a
Yeah, with the-
cul-de-sac
with the-
out there.
Yeah, we had the.
And that's where all those rocks were, so we took those and we put them as a breakwater over in front of Tammy Olson's house.
Okay,
That stopped that flush from coming behind and
Okay.
afforded like an access for the kayaks.
And that's all-
And then the beach
that's all
grass started
buried.
growing.
yeah, the other point that I wanted to make is I really don't want I'm not in favor of a bulkhead in front of my house because my children are from 35 down to 30, and they do the paddle board, the stand-up board, this and that, and we're walking straight across. And we don't want to have the rocks exposed either, because we want to be able to take the kayaks and everything that way, because that's the way we come back and forth. Otherwise, we got to go downstairs on the bulkhead that's on the canal, which is very difficult. When it's low tide, somebody's going to get hurt. So, that's why I would say that my family probably uses the water down there more than anybody. So,
Okay.
it's always been, and we're third generation now, so.
Well, I've been down this property quite a bit.
Oh, you've
and
been down
I
there.
know the different attempts that you've made to, stop the erosion down there. But I did have just a couple little questions here. Upon looking at the original subdivision maps of that whole subdivision in the 40s,
Oh,
it
okay.
showed that it went out 400 feet, but I don't think many people are aware of the fact that the history of your property was larger And in 1998, you had given that, a good slice of that, transferred it over to the Water's Edge Civic
Yeah,
Association?
we swapped to try to square it up more, because ours went out into the water, which, you know, something like 90 feet, because we were like 60 feet on the bulkhead side, and this happened 2 times, by the way, the swap. There was one back in, I'm going to say the mid-'70s, when my father had the place bulkheaded, the canal bulkheaded. The bulkhead that's there now, he put in, and part of the thing was to, after 10 years, to trade land, but nobody was even thinking about erosion back then, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we had 60 feet on one side and 132 feet on the other side. So it was out, I don't know, 60 feet of it or so was out into the water. And then we did subdivide, and it became a building lot, 321. And we had a building permit for that lot. And when the bulkhead permit was pulled in, I'm going to say 93, and then tried again in 97, after that, it just started eroding, and we had a DEC permit to replenish the beach, and we used to pay to have sand brought in. And, you know, so we've been spending money down there, you know, and a lot of people, you know, in the neighborhood, you know, unfortunately, they don't know who did it. They think the town might have done it. So.
Well, we did
because-
put some sand.
No,
on
you
there.
did, you've
I
done
did
it too, but I'm
transfer
saying
some sand from Long Neck Boulevard
from years
over
and years
to
ago.
Sylvan End
you
Temple.
know, over time, because most of the people have changed. So,
Right.
You know, I
Right.
think it's like 10 families that are still there.
Yeah, but I think the most important part of this project is the breakwater that's gonna go out.
Right.
On the west side of your property.
Oh, yeah, for the-
Once that is placed in there and established, it's gonna slow down the sand from moving, and it's gonna be allow the beach to build up, and at that point, then the natural grasses in the bay, the spud minor, will take over, because it needs a stable ground to be able to root into. Once that happens, then it'll be simple.
Then it can grow.
Similar to the other beaches to the west, Temple and, right, Eric?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Right now, it's just washing straight around.
It's sand and it's very,
I mean, we're
very
finding
liquid.
debris in there. There's a sink, a cast iron sink now that was exposed from the 40s. And, you know, that's the style sink it is. It's like this long. You can't even move it. It's like 400 pounds. You know, you have to break it apart. So we didn't know, you know. I don't know where it came from. It's before.
Well, my only concern with this thing is that if that beach builds up, I think it's incumbent on us to make sure that there is that there's access in that property is still kind of retained by the Water's Edge Civic Associations as a little beach area for the residents of that particular area. Now, as it builds up, because you're gonna put that, as Ed said, you're gonna put that bulkhead up, and that beach is gonna start building.
And we're gonna fill it. First, it's gonna be filled anyway. I was planning on filling it with sand along the bulkhead, not just leaving it as a jetty going out. You know, part of it has to be. But, you know, I would say the part of it that's exposed, there's probably like 20 or 30 feet that's exposed that used to be sand up to the bulkhead 2 years ago. You know?
Right.
So, I mean, that's where the people used to go. And if you look at that one photo with the rocks are back with the setback, the town setback. So there's access, that's why there's access to the left of the guardrail, and there's access in the middle, and there's access on the right side, on Fisher's side. So, you know, that's always gonna be there.
Right, but we want to make sure that that stays, you know, somewhat as a public beach
Yeah,
in
but
that particular area.
why would I don't know, I'm not,
Because as it accretes there, that by putting that
Oh, yeah, but-
bulkhead up as it accretes
but
there,
it's not my property. So they have access.
no, it's underwater. I mean, we just want to tie up the loose ends and get it all straightened out, that nobody makes any claims. You could sell it next week or something, and then someone comes up and then wants to claim it as it builds back up. That's all we'd like to get that straightened
They don't
out,
wanna
so it
make sure we don't
retains.
Put the quick claim on it.
We'll work
Yeah.
it out, but I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, but I mean, if you put a quick claim, to put a quick claim on it, the Civic Association has to sign it over.
No, we'll
Saying
get-
that He stops at the
I mean,
rocks.
right now it's
You're
the
stopping
state.
at the rocks.
Yes.
Your
Yeah,
property
my
stops
property
at the
stops
rocks.
at the rocks.
town
And
property.
when the project is done, it's gonna
course.
be 2 feet back from where the high water, you see, my property goes into the water also, on the.
Right, but some people claim,
Yeah, I know what they
upland
claim.
property owner, if you lose property through erosion, a slow process, you lose it. If it gains, which has happened in certain places in the town here, you gain property.
Gain it back, yeah.
Right, but would like to make sure that the line stays where it is, and if it moves forward a little bit, that there's at least a small beach for the community still. And the next owner that comes in doesn't try to claim it as, increased land on their property. We want to like make,
Yeah,
draw a
because it
line in the
used to
sand
go-
right
because
now.
It used to go out
Yeah.
further, that I'm
No.
gonna
But
complain.
the
Really-
show now is owned by the Water's Edge property.
Yeah, but it's
Well, there
underwater.
is none.
Yeah.
It's underwater.
It's all
Eric,
underwater.
but the
Really?
last owner of that property was not you.
Okay.
It was the association?
Yeah, it was association, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and-
it was transferred back in 98 on.
A good example of what Eric is trying to show is when, at the
Ran
Shinnecock Canal, West Sunset Shores, that property west of the canal,
Mm-hmm.
they own to the high tide mark. As it keeps growing, they keep getting more and more beach. And the public has literally lost that whole access point now. So that's something that we want to take in consideration before it happens. We're anticipating that your project is going to be a good project. It's going to grow the beach, and we want to maintain public access for the future.
Because it has in the past, because when I went down there with the marine maintenance crew, and no one was, and that was Water's Edge's jetty that went out, and we went down there and got in the water and repaired the thing, sand built up. And then we put the sand, we transferred the sand from Long Neck over to that beach to build up, to cover over the gabions at the end of the road. That beach built up. So that's going to happen again, especially after we have, talked to the county about if there's any more future dredging of that canal, that is a spoil site down there too.
Well, that's-
Deposition
that's
site
key.
for a little bit. It's not a lot, but
Yeah.
at least it's a little bit. That protects your rocks. The higher you have that beach, that means the less sand you have to put there.
Yeah.
As that jetty is fixed. So we just want to,
Actually, the last survey that Nate Corwin did, with the one that's for the project, that's actually the line on my deed.
So it doesn't.
When I combined the two properties, I combined the two properties because it wasn't a building lot anymore. So it didn't pay to have a waterfront piece of property that you can't do anything with.
Okay,
So I
but-
combined it to three.
but we have a situation, a very big situation that we've been in court for like the last 14 years on, where the exact same thing happened in a storm, where the line that was described on the deed, and now 500 feet accumulated rapidly in front of these properties, and they're claiming them. Okay, so that's what we want to,
Okay.
we're learning as we
Yeah, well,
go.
you want to know something? I always thought that the way that I was brought up is if there's a beach, nobody owns the beach.
Well, that's not true all the time. So,
Well, I mean,
We'll work it
if
out.
erodes, you know what I mean? If it's gone, then it's a different story. And I mean, I had a discussion with one of the neighbors about that the other day.
all right, well, let's work it out to everybody's satisfaction, so we get it locked in, so that when you win the lottery and sell the property, the next owner doesn't
My
come along and
kids
say, I
already,
own all this stuff.
my kids already said it's not going anyway, so.
Okay,
That's why the jetty and everything that I'm doing is going to be, it's way stronger than the drawings. I'm using the stuff that you use on the sound, because I don't want them to have to do it in 30 years.
okay.
So, okay?
See, we got a history of trying to provide access down there, that's why we bought the piece of property on the end of Long Neck
Yeah,
Boulevard. We went
this
to,
is-
huh?
There's other things going on over there too, with people coming, so,
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that we have a
yeah.
history of trying to gain as much access for the public as possible in that
We
area.
have no problem with that, just as long as I have a line.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
don't go on the line, and I could put up 4x4s with a rope, and it says no trespassing, so that people don't,
Well, they're not going to
Hurt.
climb over the top of your rocks, I don't
they
think.
do.
Oh, okay.
They're on them every day.
Well, there's sand there, they're not had.
They're walking, you remember the flagpole there? People put their blanket there,
Oh, okay.
okay? So I'm afraid of people getting hurt also. That's the other thing, is I get hurt, I'm sued. You know, I know what's gonna happen, so,
Okay,
and that's why it's called Doc Bosky. That's why he's an LLC also. That's why I had to do that, because everybody was on the rocks, and I said I have to do something with this, because then they can come after me for anything,
okay,
everything, so.
all right,
All right, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
okay,
Hope to hear soon.
okay, thanks for coming. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we close this public hearing. We can leave it open for comments for
14 days?
14 days, and then that gives us enough time till the next meeting to
That'll be
make a
September
decision on it.
2nd.
Okay, so I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next one, I'd like to open the public hearing, make a motion to open the public hearing for the modification application of 188 Redwood LLC. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody here to speak on that? Okay, now, we had some,
Want me to read it into the record?
sure,
That'd be great.
sure.
This is, Dear Trustees, this letter is intended to serve as confirmation to the trustees that the owners of 188 Redwood Road, Josh Schwartz representing 188 Redwood Road LLC, and 192 Redwood Road, Lee Spiegel, have discussed the permit application. Mr. Schwartz has shared the plans with Mr. Spiegel to build a 24-foot extension to the existing bulkhead return on the south property line of 188 Redwood. Mr. Spiegel has no objection to the plan. Additionally, Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Spiegel have agreed to add additional salt-tolerant plants to the area along their abutting property lines based on recommendations found in the Long Island Horticultural Resource Guide published by Cornell Cooperative Extension of Suffolk County and confirmed by local landscape professionals. And it's signed by Josh Schwartz and Lee Spiegel.
Thank you.
Right, right. Any additional correspondence received on that?
No, sir.
No? Okay, I'll make a motion that this hearing be closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Public portion, I don't see anyone here to, for members of the public
Let me
to,
just check my email and see if anything's come in.
okay.
Okay, I have nothing, anyone wishing to speak or submit comments during public portion.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the applications for permits. First one is a trustee resolution 2020-157. This is a renewal application, the third one of CTUC 5 LLC in Eastport. Make a motion to be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2020-158, waterfowl hunting location permit. Return spot to wait list. This is Eric W. Wright, permit number 257.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a motion. I'm going to introduce a motion to amend trustee resolution 2020-159 to add Ralph Beaver to the following resolution.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, trustee resolution 2020-159 is waterfowl hunting location permits, issued notices of violation for 2019-20 hunting season. They're approved for the, whereas the following were approved for the 2019-20 hunting season, and they subsequently received various notices of violations. That's as Gregory E. Lippin, Ryan P. McCulley, and Ralph Beaver. Resolved that upon the showing of good cause for each of the permittees, the board have decided not to revoke their permits. So make that
Second,
motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Okay, next we have, I'm going to add a motion to amend on trustee resolution 2020-160, a motion to amend to strike Ralph Beaver from this resolution.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, trustees resolution 2020-160, waterfowl hunting location revocation of permits for the 2019-2020 hunting season. The following permits were approved for 2019-20 and 20. They subsequently received various notices of violations pursuant to Article 5, Section 38, the Southampton Bay Constables as follows: Dennis Smith and John A. Venturella, failure to place the grass to blind, the range for visual inspection. Resolved that the waterfowl hunting location permits listed above have been revoked due to the permit holder's failure to comply with Article 5. I'll make a motion.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Scott's next.
I have trustee resolution 2020-161. This is a second renewal for Kenneth and Randy Grenier, permit number FXD 00048 on Penniman Creek. No changes. I recommend this be renewed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
Trustee Resolution 2020-162, the second renewal for Quantuck Beach Club, 42 Dune Road, Village of West Hampton Beach, tax map 0905-22-1-12.1. Again, it's a renewal. It's a second renewal. I recommend its approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have Trustee Resolution 2020-163. It's the first renewal for Donald Miller, 11 Bayview Drive, Suffolk County, tax map number 0902-11-3-8.01. I also recommend this one be renewed, first renewal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have 2020-164, first renewal, Deborah Tennyson Feinstein, 29 Weesick Avenue, East Quogue, tax map 0900-352-1-1. This is a first renewal. I recommend its approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2020-165, application for Karen Davidson, 4 Cedar Drive, Hampton Bays, New York. Tax map number 900-269-1-43, body of water, Shinnecock Bay. We went through this at work session, and it complies to all the rules and regulations necessary for its approval. I recommend it so. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Trustee Resolution 2020-166 to recall and amend Trustee Resolution 2020-123, application of William Hale, Hale Lamb Family Trust, 67 Pine Neck Avenue. I'd like to amend this, so I'd like to,
You have to do a walk-on to amend it.
We just have to
Right.
do, what do you need to amend, and something in the body?
Is
It's
you
a
amending
recall
something?
and amend.
recall
It's
and
amended
Right.
already, right?
It's already been.
Yes,
It's already
we
been-
You adding
corrected
something else, or?
there was dimension,
So then
there was
it's-
some typos, so.
It can go.
Okay.
It can go as written then.
Right, it's ready to go.
So it's
so I'd like to ask for its approval.
I'll give you a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Ann.
Yep.
Trustee Resolution 2020-167, this renewal, a first renewal of permit number GP 000123, 4,519 Noyak Road, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-24-3-25, body of water, Ligonny Brook. I'd like to ask for the renewal of this first
Second.
renewal.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Trustee Resolution 2020-168. This is also first renewal for permit GP 000110, 24 Two Trees Lane LLC, 24 Two Trees Lane, Bridgehampton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-83-1-1-6, body of water, Long Pond. I'd like to ask for the approval of this renewal.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so carried.
Trustee Resolution 2020-169. This is a modification for the permit WRC 00020, Jeffrey A. Rosenberg, 62 John Street, Village of Sag Harbor, Suffolk County Tax Map 903-4-2-5, body of water, Sag Harbor Cove. I'd like to ask for the approval of this modification.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We've got trustee resolution 2020-170. It's warrant number 14 of 2020 in the amount of $79,786.40. Lisa, you want to?
Yes, certainly. The breakdown for warrant number 14 of 2020, Bridgehampton National Bank, $2,079.23. P-card, marine maintenance purchases and office purchases. Call ahead, $36 for a portable toilet rental for the maintenance building. East Islip Lumber Company, Inc., $975.75 for snow fencing and stakes. Safe Harbor Publications, $61.80 for legal newspaper notices. InterScience, $1,120.40 in consulting fees for Road H and Mecox. Liberty Ironworks, $240 for repair equipment for marine maintenance. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, $200 for a permit modification fee. Riverhead Building Supply, $59.55, for maintenance supplies. Staples, $54.08 for office supplies. Town of Southampton, $74,625.50 for trustees' contribution payment and box reimbursement. That's the new software that we're going to utilize for very large format
Right.
FOIL requests. Verizon Wireless, $296.59 for a cell phone bill for everyone. WB Mason Company, $37.50 for water delivery and office supplies, for a total of $79,786.40.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lisa.
We need a second?
You have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Okay, Bill, you don't have to read this whole thing.
Okay, trustee.
Well, it's almost as long as what it
road.
takes to get this done,
Yeah.
get it done.
Right.
This is trustee resolution 2020-171. Authorize the trustees of the freehold of the commonalty of the town of Southampton, the president to sign a corrective deed to revise the deed dated February 13, 2017, and recorded August 3rd, 2017, to Libet D00012923, page 188, to reflect the correct legal description. Looking for a second for this?
Can I
Okay, well, let's let the public know what we're doing.
Yeah, this is,
What?
this is
yeah.
basically Scarlet Pond Road, which the freeholder's been using for ages. Sean has, for the last 10 or 15 years, we've been trying to get it in our name. We discovered about 8 years ago it was not in our name, and he finally did it. Legally got a hold of Psalms and had it transferred over to us, so we're going to eventually own it for the freeholders.
As soon as I sign this.
Yes, they found a mistake in it.
Right, this was a land swap that was not followed up on. And in doing so, the first deed was recorded erroneously. One of the measurements.
Can they hear him on the microphone?
Sean, can you come up?
Oh, yeah, why don't you do that? Yeah.
This is important.
So this was a land swap deal that, as trustee Pell said, had gone back 10, 15 years. The first conveyance here to the Psalm estate was made by the trustees. One of the numbers of the meets and bounds was recorded inaccurately in the deed. We had extensive correspondence back and forth about what the correct number should be, and this would allow President Schultz to sign a corrective deed, so the Psalms have gotten their benefit of the bargain. In return, they're going to essentially complete the land swap and deed over the road to the trustees, which was what the original deal had been. And it seems that it was not really the fault of anyone, it just was never followed up on. So they've agreed to execute that deed and put this issue to rest.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Thank you
for all
very
your
much,
hard
Sean.
work.
Thanks to Bill for spearheading this. I mean, this is an extremely important access that we have in the town.
That's what I'd like
Took
to
me
say.
10 years.
I'd like to second it. Before seconding this,
Second,
I would like to say that, Bill, I appreciate the dedication and tenacity that you had in making sure that this has gone through, because it's almost fallen through the cracks several times. But you kind of stayed on it, and I think that was good.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Well,
It's one of my favorite spots in Southampton.
I know it
It's
is.
the
and I
most
think
beautiful
it was
spot in Southampton.
Someday it'll be a great park.
yeah.
good
Well,
job.
it
We have
it
a
is kind of
motion,
ironic
second?
because the whole time I've been on the
Second.
board, we started with one attorney and it took us 5 town attorneys
Yes.
and 15 years to get
And
this
on their side,
accomplished.
they had several
And-
attorneys as well.
And
Right, right.
Billy and myself would hand piles of paper to an attorney, and then unfortunately, the attorney would go on to a different place, and it would never get accomplished. So I really want to thank Bill for following
Yeah.
through on this,
Yep.
and Sean.
Yep,
Yes.
great job.
Good job bringing it
Phil,
home,
yeah.
Sean. but-
Yeah.
Yep,
You know, as long as I can remember, Bill's been on this,
Yeah.
a dog on a bone, you know, it's been good.
Now we just have to make the
Hey,
road
Sean,
smooth,
don't
that's
worry,
all.
I have a next project for you.
Okay,
We have a motion and a second.
okay. All in favor?
all right.
Aye.
Thank you,
Carry.
everyone.
Good job,
Great. Good news.
progress.
Okay. Yeah, 3 pages long of meets and bounds descriptions here. Okay. Resolution 2020-172, authorize the payment to the Suffolk County Controller for 2018 to 2019 real property taxes for Suffolk County Tax Map 0900-353-2-41.16. Yeah. Sean's been involved in this, too. It's a piece of property that the county has been erroneously charging the town taxes on, and now we're involved, and it was gotten actually by me when I was on the planning board to give to the trustees for access to Spionk, the head of the Spionk River off of Plumegrass Way. So we're going to, this is a resolution to pay the county $1,700 so it doesn't get lost, and then we'll straighten it out with them at a later date when they get back up to speed. So it's better in
I'll second
our
it.
opinion.
Let's take it off the
Get it.
table.
Yep.
Are we going to file it in our name, or is it filed in our name now?
It's filed in our name. It's supposed to be. It was gotten through the, every subdivision that comes through before the planning board either has to pay a park fee or donate a piece of land. So I got the planning board to donate that strip. It's our only access point to that pond. It's by the mill, the old mill.
Okay.
To the mill.
Good job.
So we'll get that straightened out and get our money back.
Yep.
Seconded it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Resolution 2020-173, authorize the expenditure for Carter's Creek Hydrographic Survey. I believe that's the Scott's area here.
Yeah. Been a dredge project that we've been needing to work on for quite some time, and this is necessary expenditure.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. So I have a motion to walk on the application of Tony Ellison, 118 Reeves Bay Trail. Make a motion, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. And this is a motion, the next one is a motion to approve the application of Tony Ellison, 118 Reeves Bay Trail. We discussed this at work session, and we told the applicant that if he had gotten the requested modifications in by that Friday, which was reducing the size of the dock, that it would be on for today's session. So to keep our word there, we're going to put this on. We held back some of the other, if you recall, we held back some of the other ones for
Yep.
logistical purposes with the staff and everything, but this one, we made the promise that we were going to deal with this one.
Yep.
They made that simple correction. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve this resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That concludes the business there. Anybody have any comments to make, reports to give or anything?
Yes, one of my next projects are, for Sean, I've been talking to Scott about this, and a little bit to Ed and Eric. We're thinking about somehow taking the four-wheel drive and the ramp permits, instead of doing it once a year, do it for up to 3 years. That way that we leave the pressure in the office so much, and to save people from coming in and do a 3-year permit.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that, Bill. What type of permit?
Four-wheel drive
Okay.
and boat ramp.
4x4 and boat ramp, you want to make
Yes,
a 3-year
non-commercial.
permit?
Yeah, non-commercial.
But we have to discuss it with staff, too.
You have to discuss it with the staff.
Okay.
It's an idea to work on.
Just to work, idea to work on, you want to put the input on it.
Only in a blue book.
We have to update
Yeah.
the blue book on it.
The fees wouldn't decrease.
Yeah, we need a blue book change, and I think it would be a change as far as people when they lease their vehicles or buy, they change them in, so we would need
Yeah,
a
yeah.
mechanism to give them a new permit at a cost of a new vehicle. But I think it's something that could be worked through.
Well, it's also a governed module would have to be created, so there's, other, besides the Blue Book, there has to be other practical applications that need to change.
Technology side.
Yeah,
Has it ever been 3 years, or has it always been a year?
always been a year.
Always been a year, but some permits are 3, like the mooring
Yeah.
permits and things. It's not that we're, doing something
Different.
totally new.
I think because of the town board not giving us more staffing and more help in our office, that we're trying to streamline the office in a way that we're working within parameters that they're giving to us. And this is one of the suggestions, is to make the permits longer so you don't have to issue so many of them.
Got to figure out every way possible to keep the trustees in business.
Yes.
You know, that's
Right.
the
More
reality.
easier for the freeholders.
Yes.
And easier for the staff, too.
Well, in light of what happened with COVID this year, if you have a 3-year permit, you wouldn't have to come in, and it would cut down on the traffic in the office, and would
Yes.
also cut down on, people's, need to come
Yeah.
here. It's, a lot of stuff is done online, but I mean, I think it's a good idea.
Well, because it wouldn't necessarily have to be everyone had to do 3 years, but you would have the option to do it, so you wouldn't have to come in, right? I mean, some people only want it for a
Yeah.
year or something like
Yeah,
that,
we
so
could- yeah, we'll-
at least you spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we issue 12,000 permits plus a year in our office,
Yeah.
and one person in the office at a time. It's a lot of time. So I think it's something moving forward. I think it's a
So
good
we'll-
suggestion.
We'll do a little working group on it and
Yes.
see what we got.
Five others.
Eric and I took a tour around the town. We stopped at Road H, looking at that piling situation and need for the dock to be redone. I got some thoughts about, the dock on the west side. It needs some decking and some other work on it, which the marine maintenance guys can do. But as far as the material and the pilings, it would have to put it out to a bid. So I'm going to put together a bid package with the help of John McDonald and present it to everybody on the board to look at. Okay?
I think what happened down there, you got larger boats,
Yeah.
putting the piling size is a little bit smaller for, for that size boat.
Yeah. Big boats, some of those boats should be at the county dock.
There is no room at the county dock. That's why they're where they are, unfortunately.
What is what we charge them in proportion? to what they get?
$65 a foot, I believe it's the same as what the town is charging for the boats. I believe, I don't know, I haven't been current on what the town is. I'll look into
I think
that.
it's just look into, is the town receiving any grants or anything like that that allows them to keep that price low? You know what I mean? Because that sounds a little low
It
compared
does.
to regular marinas. So are they getting some sort of grant or something that?
To fix it up.
We're following their guidelines, but they might have a revenue source from some other place that's allowing them to keep that artificially low.
Yeah.
Because those piles are pretty expensive when it comes down.
They're
to
about
price.
$500 a piece. I
Right.
mean, what I'd like to do is, when we bid it and we accept it, that we purchase the pilings, have them delivered, and have the contractor. That way, we're saving 50% at
Right,
least.
Right.
I mean, there are mechanisms to work within
Mm-hmm.
this to make it cheaper.
Right.
But what I'll do is I'll come up, since the time we fixed it to the current, how much revenue that we've incurred at the facility, and I'll ask about the town, what their rates are, and so I can get, I'll put it together as a nice narrative for everybody.
It's not all the boats, so it's a pretty violent place down there too, and some of it has to
Yeah.
do with the hurricane that we had.
Well, Sandy really decimated a lot of that, the pilings.
Big surge.
The bands got ripped off, and so it needs maintenance, so I'll put together a package so we can look at, okay?
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
And I'm working with the other town board members, so we have a conference call on Wednesday to discuss the whole parking situation at the ends of roads and uses of the beach and everything like that. So I'll fill you in on some of the comments that the other people have. We have Parks and Rec and 2 of the town board members and some other people involved, Bay Constables. all putting input on how to best manage it so we don't have a problem next year like we had this year,
Yeah.
so, and other things.
And one other thing I'd like to bring up is Dock Road in Mill Creek, the launching ramp there. We made it parking by permit only as far as with or without a trailer. There's a couple residents that live down there that have a mooring, and they got a summons or ticket a couple weeks ago for parking there because they didn't realize that they needed a parking permit for a non-trailer vehicle. Is there something that, when we went through, Billy, maybe you remember this process, when we went through this to make it parking by permit, did we take in consideration people like them, or is this something that wasn't thought about?
I don't think we actually thought about that, the moorings.
Okay,
But we did include the, parking by permit only, and that's a free permit.
okay,
They can come and get a free permit,
then I'll tell them that.
yeah.
Okay,
But we also did, I was talking to Scott, too. I bet we had a lot of complaints about the dinghies being up on the shore.
yes.
And again, when we might want to look at, when you have a mooring, you have the option to have a dinghy on the shore tied to a small pole with the number of the mooring on the dinghy or the kite board, whatever you're using to get out to it. If you don't have a number there on the boat, then the boat could be confiscated.
We're trying to find ways to clean everything up.
Well, that's what we're
Right,
gonna, I met, with Eric and I went to Red Creek Pond, and
I think Scott came up with that.
there are dinghies that have been on the beach for 10 years or more.
But it's a good idea, yeah.
I think what we should do is send everybody that has a boat in there a letter stating that by December 1st, all the vessels should be removed, and if they're not removed, we're gonna remove them and put them into the impound area.
Yeah.
Because you got Noyak Creek and you have, Red Creek Pond are two areas where people have a lot of dinghies just laying
Yeah,
around.
Right down by me, on the
Yeah.
one thing, I don't know who owns it. I think the trustees might, or the town might own it. Goes down to the water, as you go around on West Neck Circle.
Yeah,
All those dinghies down there, some of those dinghies haven't been moved in 10 years.
I don't know, I think that's private property down there.
I don't know who owns it.
But we should come up with a town-wide,
Yeah.
program so that each one of our facilities that utilize these dinghies or paddle boards
Yeah.
have numbers on them that correspond, to the mooring. And at December to April 1st, they should be not on that site.
And Scott and I also are working with Sean about doing kayak launch and stand-up board launch, racks
Yep.
in different areas.
I thought we were gonna do we needed to do a public hearing?
We
or-
do, yeah, we have to do a
Right,
public
right.
Are we
hearing.
gonna do a public hearing to allow it to put it in any facility? Because there are a lot of
Yes.
facilities
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah, we're
really
gonna,
need.
we have to set it up so
Yep,
we can move it, like if we want one on Road D and one at Clam Road, and does it work at Clam Road, we can move it to Road J or move it all around wherever it fits.
right.
So you can be
Nice,
different.
neat, concise, well
Yeah.
thought out way
Yep.
for people to get recreation
Yep.
on the water.
Yeah.
Yep.
Be safe.
And Ed and I went down to Peconic Beach Road to try to figure out what we're gonna do down there, as far as there's been a lot of different schools of thought about how the beach road should be used, so we're going to look over the deeds and maybe have a little conference with some of the surveyors around here to come up with some uniform way of putting that access language on there,
Yeah,
surveys from now on.
and organize their properties and also maybe put a kayak.
That would be,
launch
that would be my
facility
suggestion,
down
the
there.
first place to
Yeah.
put a kayak rack.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect down there because I got pictures of 2 years ago, there were 9 or 10 paddleboard kayaks on the bulkhead.
Like on that one, we would you can also put on the same, I don't know what you want to call it, the level of the rack. You have the option, if you don't want to put a kayak or a paddleboard there, you can put your umbrella and chairs there.
Yeah, but as long as we have control over what's
Yes.
there.
Yeah, there's an
That's
area
real-
there's an area that we looked at right
Yeah.
along the bulkhead that could be used to put chairs and everything, because we realize there's a lot of people that enjoy
Older
that
people.
beach, and they're elderly, and they don't want to carry chairs up and down,
Steps.
45 steps every day.
As
So
long
it
as
makes
it's
sense.
organized and neat, I'm in
Right.
favor.
If it's
And
not on
only
the rack,
certain
it gets
amount.
confiscated.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Couple things. Oops, sorry,
Okay,
go
go
ahead, Scott.
just wanted to acknowledge the fact that, in my opinion, I think the pump out guys are working like extra hard this year. I mean, everybody's out on the waterways. And, you know, with this whole COVID thing, like every boat in the area got sold and everybody's out there and these folks are, you know, doing the right thing. They're calling for the pump out boat instead of just dumping it overboard. But it's putting a lot of stress and strain on our program. And, you know, we're doing the best we can with what we have. I had a talk with Ralph Urban from the Village of West Hampton Beach. You know, they've been great partners with us, and, you know, that people call over there sometimes if they can't, you know, if they can't reach our guy, but if he's got to come all the way east to offload into another boat to then take it further east to offload it, it takes a lot of time. So we'll have to continue to try and find ways that we could be more efficient and effective, because this program is very, very important, much needed, and it's under a lot of pressure, and I don't see that pressure letting up. Boating has gotten very popular. It's a safe type of an activity that people can, you know, utilize with their families, and the evidence of that is, you know, you got dealers that were just sold out, you know, locally.
Puppies and boats.
Pools,
Puppies and
RVs, right?
Yeah,
Lysol wipes.
a lot of puppies being sold? Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just that, I know they're working hard, and, you know, people, you know, they wait till the tank minder light comes on, and then they call in a panic, and, you know, if the guy's busy with 4 boats ahead of you, and then he fills up, and he's gotta go offload, well, there goes 2-3 hours. There's nothing, you know.
It's actually, correct me if I'm right, Scott, there's no place where the boat can offload in West Hampton, has to come all the way to
You're
Hampton
correct.
Bays to meet another boat.
You're correct.
Go to the county facility.
Yeah.
Yes, they take it up there because it gets too expensive to have a truck meet the boat and pump it. It's just not cost effective.
$2 a gallon.
You know, to work that way. So if we had, you know, we almost had a deal worked out where we had a land-based unit at the Village of West Hampton Beach, but the funding source kind of blew up. But we're going to have to try and resurrect that because they were on board with working that out somehow. So I think we're going to have to all, you know, work together to try and find a good solution to get it to work, because it's a great program. It's really important for the environment. Good water quality, especially, you know, that western part of the bay, it's you know, really bad there. So I'm very pleased that the people are doing what they have to do. I just, you don't want to inconvenience them too bad, you know. So I was thinking we speak to some of the marinas there and say, hey, you know, maybe we could set up, you know, some times when they can go there and not wait until it's a crisis situation. You know, keep the tanks at a certain level in those boats, have them pumped out on a schedule instead of waiting for, you know, a crisis. That may help out. I don't know, but we're gonna have to figure something out.
Is there another pump-out boat that's not being as heavily used that could be repurposed?
I think every area, from what I can see in my travels on the
We have a
water.
backup boat. But the backup boat
That needs to be manned.
needs to be
Yeah,
manned.
another guy, it's
Yeah,
more salary.
What is the status of that boat, Billy? Is it in
I'm not
condition?
quite sure, I have to check with Rich, but
Because I know we purchased 2 new ones, and then prior to that, 2 other new ones, so we have at least.
all the boats are working. The one fiberglass boat is the backup boat.
Okay.
All the aluminum boats are out there working.
Okay.
What we might have to do is just buy a holding tank and put it at one of our facilities with no pump on it, just where, because our pump-out boats can pump, should be able to be reverse pump the stuff back out into the tank.
Well, they do that at the county, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or if they're doing a transfer, so,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
we need
that'd be the thing, if we had a spot to go.
Yeah, if we can just, we might have to spend the money, $2,000 to buy a 500-gallon tank and bolt it to one of our docks.
Maybe one of these environmental quality, water quality funds could, you know, help us out with
CBS
that.
funds.
Because it's a big water quality project, and then just work off the same contract, you know.
Yeah, maybe look into that fund that they have that they get from the violations.
Yeah, I know Councilwoman Scalera started a fund.
Yeah, it was from any
At that fund, right?
violations to ordinances involving
Environmental.
I mean,
environmental things, you know,
Well-
boating, BWs and speeding and all that stuff. There's a money that, a certain amount of money goes into that fund. I don't know if it's a lot, but maybe you can draw from that, go to lend on that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I mean, it's a great program, it
Well,
really is.
it would, in a perfect world, if we had a few $1,000s to put a pump-out facility at West Hampton, and have the village, property and like admissible agreement between us, that's the perfect place for it, because you have the whole western part of the town with pump-out boats, but no facilities to offload them.
Yeah, initially, we were talking about that years
Yeah.
ago,
They
right?
were
Yeah, but-
agreeable to it, and we were gonna put that there, because we were settling a different dispute, and it was gonna be some funds going there to take care of the funding source for that. But it didn't materialize, it didn't work out. So we have to get back into the funding source side of it. So, I mean, listen, we're doing the best we can. I know that they're doing the best that they can. It is what it is. The town has
Yep.
got a lot more pressure on it. The resources have more pressure on it.
Total overload of the system, just like the supermarkets and everything else.
Everything.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna do the best we can, and we'll try and figure out how to alleviate some of this pressure.
Yep,
Yeah, Dan?
okay.
Okay, last week in Mecox Bay, the floating sensor was installed by Tom Wilson of SOMAS. So what, my question is, because there's no signage on that, and there's no signage on the bulkhead, I think that there should be something saying who owns it, who it's for, explain a little bit about what it is, and eventually, when he gets the website up and running, that's really good public information.
Keep away
So-
100 feet or something like that, because they'll be using it as a ski
Right.
slalom course
So-
or something.
I'd like to pursue some signage. I asked Rich, and he's fine with moving forward, so I'll run it past you guys once it gets designed.
Have a light at night?
Yes, I think so, but I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
I
We'd
think
need a
so.
white navigation light, right?
Right,
Yeah.
we'll check on that.
What?
Or where they can ski around it.
Yeah, at night, right.
I'll check.
Don't encourage
Crab
it.
around it.
Yeah.
So that's been a long time coming, so that's a good step. And there's one more salinity station that will it will be a fixed one, in addition to the one on the Flying Point bulkhead. So, because James currently tests at 2 different locations, so we wanted to mimic that with the salinity stations. So that's Mecox.
Are they gonna be online real time? these
Yes.
stations? Okay, so the public would have access to them?
Yes, longislandshore.org/Mecox.
Okay.
But it's not up
Could you
and running
repeat that
yet.
in, Long
but it's-
Island Shore?
Yep, .org/Mecox.
Long Island Shore
But
or
it's-
lishore.org?
LI Shore,
lishore.org.
yeah. But it's not up and running yet. He's working on it, but it's not quite there
It's the
yet.
same site that the Shinnecock Lake Canyon
Yes.
on also.
Yep, exactly. Okay, Mill Pond. Last week, this week is the week that Princeton Hydro is installing floating islands in Mill Pond. Next week, the poles will be moved to a different location for another set of carp removal. And then they're going to do some water quality testing as well as part of this. So that's another good step
You know if
for
we've seen any
Mill Pond.
better clarity in there? Has there been any difference in the water or anything, you know?
I haven't been down there to visually see it.
Okay.
It didn't sound encouraging.
But they're gonna have a report, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll have a report. Dr. Gobler has a buoy in Mill Creek, so hopefully that will indicate some water quality, but I'll see what I can find out about that
When do they anticipate starting up the carp removal again?
next week.
Next week?
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
didn't they have problems with snapping turtles eating the bait?
yes, they've worked that out. They've worked that out. I didn't ask how, but
Steel cages.
they're they're on that.
Big turtles, too.
SAG, yes. Sag Pond remains open. It's been open almost a week now. Last night at high tide, it was being really well flushed because the storm surf was really big. When I was there at low tide today, it still remained open, so it's getting really good flushing. The only thing I didn't get was, I from Dr. Gobler, who has a buoy in Sag Pond. I would love to see, and we will get it, the comparison of salinity, dissolved oxygen, and the harmful algal bloom indicators from that buoy before and after the opening. So I'm asking about that. Oh, question. The tide was so high last night that the snow fence that was put up on the east side of the cut, some of it got washed in and like dug down into the sand. That's a marine maintenance task, even though 2 are out of the marine maintenance staff. I can still ask for that.
You could ask
Yeah, we'll
for
just put
it.
in a
Okay.
request, that's
Just-
it.
They'll have to just work it into the
It's a
schedule.
matter of safety.
Okay, yeah, because it's a big bunch of it that's sort of buried, so I'd like
So
to get
they
it out
need
of
to bring a
there.
piece of machinery down on the beach in order to pull it out.
Maybe, yeah.
They're the
It's kind of,
Bobcat.
it's kind of
The
dug,
big Bobcat.
yeah, it's kind of dug in.
Did Gobler put any oysters in Sagaponic yet?
Yes.
Sag Pond?
Yes,
So they might actually flourish in there this year.
right?
They could
Because,
flush
I
like
mean,
that.
if it stays open and, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. I participated in a webinar that was sponsored by DEC the other night about harmful algal blooms, and they're doing some testing in upstate New York with easily deployed, so instead of like in Lake Agawam and Mill Pond, things that are where the whole water body is impacted, in some water bodies, it's just a part of the water body that has a harmful algal bloom. So it's a small localized bloom. And they're testing a couple different things upstate to target those localized blooms. And they're on boats. So it's pretty cool. They're doing it at the end of this month, and then they're going to report on it next month. So we'll see a little more. Just because, like out here, Kellis Pond sometimes has small blooms. Little Fresh sometimes has small blooms. Big Fresh has had small blooms. So it would be something if it were easily deployable, because they're trying to make it be not expensive and rapid deployment on boats.
Good.
So that's just another interesting thing. Okay, last thing. The other day, James Duryea, Sean Cambridge, Scott Horowitz, and myself participated in a phone call about the Mecox 10-year permit. Scott, Sean, you guys want to give a little bit of a,
No, we, guess we could
Just
give
a-
bit of
just a
quick
few
overview
minutes,
was
yeah.
that, we're gonna have to get involved in a biological assessment so that they
Yep.
can do their formal consultation with U.S. Fish and Wildlife to move in the direction of getting us, the ability to actually be able to work off our management plan, because it's impossible right now. Can't do anything because we're still working off of DEC emergency protocol. So we're having to follow what the DEC wants to do to a T, and we have done that. We've been working very closely with the DEC on this. But we really need to move in the direction of being able to manage this as it's been managed for hundreds of years without the water table backing up and doing so much damage to the ecosystem before being able to engage in any activity to get it to flush. I'd like to, I think we need to get there sooner than later. I think there's a lot of frustration among the stakeholders that we all heard throughout at least 3 public hearings, but that we had at least 3, right? But it was good to have everybody around the table, and I really think there needs to be further communication involving council with the DEC to make sure that we're all on the same page. But the frustrating part is that really, right now, the trustees' hands are tied. We are still at the mercy of the emergency protocols with the DEC, which means we have to establish and show that there is harm being done and there are flooding and problems and septic problems and farming problems and salinity problems that are going to be detrimental to the environment. And it's a little you know, to what you would normally do, because if you're anticipating that you could have wrecks on a highway, you send out the salt and sand trucks ahead of that, so you don't. It's like we have to demonstrate that there are collisions all over the highways before we send salt and sand trucks out. It really, it kind of puts everybody in a bad spot, but we're at their mercy right now until they issue those permits. There's nothing that we can do without, you know, bringing a lot of headache onto the trustees, so we've worked very closely in following their instructions on what to do at what time, okay? There's going to be further meetings and further discussions, and, you know, hopefully we'll all get on the same page and take care of a very important resource, Mecox Bay. It's a major effects on that entire ecosystem and all the stakeholders, even outside of the trustees' jurisdiction, the farmers, the homeowners. It's imperative that it's managed appropriately, and we really, I think, you know, have come a long way to work with everybody to do the best that we possibly could.
Is it time for us to hire an outside attorney and sue the DEC?
You know-
Scott, I've been playing ball with these people for a long time. They've asked us time and time again for everything that we've given them, and I think we've been more than patient with them on what they need. This emergency situation does not do anybody any justice. It takes us weeks, if not a month, to provide all the backup documentation, and by that time, there is a real emergency. And
Right.
I sat at 3 meetings, or 2 meetings, and then one at the Peconic Land Trust, and we were promised by the state that we would have a permit in hand prior to us adopting this management plan. Well, we've adopted it, and we're in the process of amending it, because there's some issues that we see that have come about since the adoption. Now, we do not have a permit in hand, and that, by not having that permit is going to cause us and our constituents and the environment more harm than good.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, it's
Well,
they're
that's why
creating.
we're going into executive session.
Right,
after the
they're
meeting.
creating the emergency. I mean, the trustees diligently worked in good faith with all of the stakeholders to take into
Right.
consideration all the aspects and what made sense. We fully understood that it was going to be a living document and that we would make adjustments when the DEC and U.S. Fish and Wildlife and all the other regulatory agencies opined, okay, after we made the adoption, because they asked us. The problem is that, in my view, the only folks that really truly worked in good faith with the stakeholders was the Board of Trustees, okay? I would think that the state should have been further along. We went there to Stony Brook, you and I, several meetings hat in hand. There was fire drills at every meeting we went to, right? We had to leave the building.
Yes.
Okay? We had a meeting at Peconic Land Trust with representation from every single branch of government, okay? We really should have been farther along. We, in good faith, they have us in this catch-22 situation. And yes, they are creating the emergency, because if we could swiftly do what's been done for hundreds of years, it would run like clockwork, and we would be able to swiftly get this done. But on your subject of suing the DEC, I think we'd best leave that for an executive discussion. And we'll leave that right there, and we'll do the best we can for the people of our community and the resources.
Well, that's why we have our other attorney sitting in the back of the room
Okay.
to discuss this in executive session in a couple of minutes when we
So
close.
maybe we'll end this discussion, Ann, and we'll move to.
Well, just, Sean, did you
Yeah.
want to contribute anything?
If
Did
you'd
you-
like me to, if not, I don't have to. Yeah, it was a productive
You
call.
got to speak on it.
Sorry, Sean.
No, it's okay. It overall was a productive call. We're going to have a second call with the DEC. You currently do have a valid U.S. Army Corps permit in place. We are going to posture possibly for a shorter permit while we can arrange for conditions of plover season to be met. We might as well get the permits for the remainder of the year when we don't have endangered birds complicating the situation. So that's what our call was mostly about. I am setting up a second call with the DEC representatives and attorney. It was about an hour long, very productive. It seems that we're building a much better relationship with these agencies at this point.
Good, thanks, Sean. So on the call were representatives from Army Corps, Fish and Wildlife, and DEC, and they're two different, within the Plover window, they're two different directives, one that's federal, one that's state. So that's where things get a little complicated. The Army Corps and Fish and Wildlife are very much looking to work with us and want to get this streamlined and move down the road. The state, it's a good thing we're setting up another call.
Yeah, because it seems that we're not on the same page, and something's,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, to be continued, but just an update for everybody.
Right, but just so the public knows, I mean,
Yes.
we're working off the emergency protocols.
Right.
At the mercy of the
Right,
state.
right.
Yes, the Army Corps is playing ball. And yeah, the Endangered Species Act, we're dealing with the birds. But I think that only involved usually around one opening.
Well, you would think that the state would defer to the Fish and Wildlife Service and just stop their policies rather than going off rogue on their own and.
They have their own
Oh, yeah, of
wildlife
course,
biologists.
Of course, yeah.
So one thing, though, that was noted, and I think we'll ask about when we set up the next phone call, was the people that were on the call said they have to take the information back and discuss it. So we'd like on the next call to get the people who they have to discuss it with.
It probably would be good to set up a face-to-face meeting in Stony Brook and have all the players involved, so.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's, we
You know.
did it, that's, we did it Peconic Land Trust. You know, we had everyone from representation from Congress right on down. State of Southern Deal was there.
We need a really big
Everyone else.
room.
Yeah, well, now it's a different ballgame.
Well, yeah, okay,
But
we need an
everybody
auditorium.
understood. Army Corps and U.S. Fish and Wildlife, they came in on remote, and everybody, that was a while ago. I think we should be farther along than this, and you don't.
Yeah.
You want to protect birds, but not, you want to protect, the species, but not at the detriment of another species. It's not common sense, but like Sean said, it was a productive call.
Maybe they're a little gun shy
Don't.
since they allowed certain villages to just go do whatever they needed to do, and then it cost us a couple $100,000 to defend our rights to the beach
I don't know,
because
this
of
had
their
to-
inaction.
This had the support of all the stakeholders. It has a funding source, a terrific funding source through the Community Preservation Fund. It's a great public benefit. You really need to see everybody work together to be successful with this, and I'm hoping that that's what we see, in a sooner rather than a later fashion.
The other day was a good first step, though.
Okay.
So it's
Thank
good
you.
to know where you're at and where you're not and where you
Yep.
gotta fix. And
To
then,
be continued.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll keep you updated.
Anything else? Okay, then I make a motion that we close the meeting and go into executive session to discuss litigation. I'd like to make a motion on that. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Meeting's closed.